Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sarah Peck, and this is the Startup Pregnant Podcast. Do you want to get your burning questions on parenting, business, or life answered on the podcast? If you do, please listen in to today's episode because I will tell you all about how to do that. We are launching something new. We are trying something new here, and I am creating space for people to ask questions and get them answered on the air. So if you want to play around with it and become one of our early guinea pigs, I would love to have your questions on this podcast. Welcome to the Startup Pregnant Podcast, where we talk to creative leaders about what it means to be an entrepreneur and a parent. I'm your host, Sarah K. Peck. Every day I get new questions from people. I get questions about business. I get questions about life. I get questions about money. I get questions about organizing your day to day. I get questions about pregnancy. I get questions about what to eat. I get questions about parenting. I get a lot of questions, and I want to find a way to take these questions and turn them into something really useful for all of you. So I want to take some time today and tell you about a new service that we are offering and how you can get involved. We are starting a monthly Ask Me Anything where you can submit your questions around business, your questions around life, or your questions around parenting and get my perspective on it, or even get a perspective of some of the Startup Pregnant guests. Ask questions and then we will answer them. That's why it's called an AMA, Ask Me Anything. Most of these will go into a monthly recording that we have, a new podcast, if you will, called Ask Sarah. You can have access to this new podcast. It is for our Patreon backers, those of you that have been sponsoring the podcast for a long time. Thank you so much. We are so grateful. We love you. I love you. And if you are not yet a Patreon backer, then you go to patreon.com/startuppregnant. Patreon.com/startuppregnant. You go there and you get immediate access. Once you become a $7 a month supporter, you get immediate access to the exclusive Ask Me Anything podcast series. You get access to all of the back episodes, and you can copy the secret link that you get when you become a backer and put it into any podcast player that you have. It's an RSS feed. So you can listen to it just like any other podcast straight through your podcast player. You just have to go to Patreon and become a backer in order to get access to it. We are currently doing monthly episodes, so you can get access each month to a new episode. And then if we have any really good, juicy questions, we may also answer them on the Startup Pregnant podcast, but that remains to be seen. For now, if you have a question, if you have been looking for advice or feedback or just some brainstorming on something in particular that you think that we could really help you with, what I want you to do is go over to startuppregnant.com/question, and there is a button right there on the webpage that lets you record your question. You push the button, just be in a quiet place. It doesn't have to be perfect audio recording. It doesn't have to be perfectly scripted. Just tell us where you're at, record it from your phone or from your regular headphones, and tell us what's up. Tell us what you're working on, and I get a notification and I'll listen to it and then I will give you my best answer. Here are some of the questions we've had so far. We started this with the Wise Women's Council, the private community that I run, and some of the questions are, they're so good. And some of them have been really surprisingly emotional and deep for me. So here, let me give you an example of some of the questions. One of the questions I got was about sleep training and kids. What's my personal philosophy on it? What did I do with my kids? And then how do I get enough sleep as an adult? And it took me about 20 minutes to answer that question because there's so many different layers and nuances to it. But if you want to know my perspective on sleep training and some of the clues and hints and tips that I give people and how to approach it, mentally, like how to think about it, how to deal with it in your life, that was one of the very first questions that I answered. Somebody else asked me how I rest and recharge, what I do to take care of myself, and then how to find time in my partnership, which, is very few and far between when you have many kids, 1 kid, 2 kid, many kids. It is hard to find time to reconnect with your partner. So I talk a little bit about how I do that in the first episode of Ask Sarah. I also, in the second episode, people asked, one of the questions was how... This was a hard question for me to answer. Do you feel like you are complete now that you've had 2 children? Do you feel like your family is full and finished? Why or why not? And what changed when you had your second child? I give a long answer to that also on the podcast. Other questions that are coming up in the series include how to deal with weekends when you're a full-time parent and it feels like you just never get a break. What my vision is for Startup Pregnant, how I address and deal with different money issues, and so many more. These questions are big, they're meaty, they're juicy. And if you have a question and you want me to answer it, go to startuppregnant.com/question and you can record it. And then for $7 a month, you get to have exclusive access to this podcast. You get your questions answered, and you can listen to everyone else's questions and answers. Why are we doing this? What's behind this? So I wanted a way to create a service that could be really useful and really helpful and take this podcast kind of to the next level, while also making it extremely affordable for people to have access to something that would create a lot of value. Not everyone has the time, the money, or the sanity, although maybe that last one's debatable, to be able to join the Wise Women's Council year over year. And the Wise Women's Council is our high-touch community mastermind that's a year long, where we gather together a group of women to deal with and talk with and dissect and meet regularly around issues that come up when you are getting pregnant, you are trying to get pregnant, you are in the early stages of parenting, you are building a business, you're growing a business, or you're trying to scale a business. We gathered smart, awesome, wise, amazing female founders together into a space. And we meet every 2 weeks. We've been doing it all year. We have coaching sessions and hangout sessions. And then we have a Slack room where everyone can post their, latest pickles, their problems, their requests for advice, their brainstorming. That community is so amazing and is one of my favorite things to be a part of and to have the honor and the privilege to be able to lead a space like that. But it is not necessarily scalable in the way that I want to be able to reach out and work with and help more members of this community. So we are experimenting now with this monthly Ask Me Anything. So if you have been wanting to get feedback or insight on a project, or you have questions, or you need to talk something out, and you're like, Sarah, this one moment in my life is driving me bat crazy. Like, I don't know what to do about this. Or how do you deal with mornings? Or even if you're just curious about different aspects or elements of my personal life, I am happy to go there. I'm happy to share what I do and my unique take on, or not unique take on, different things and how I set up my life. The minutia is fine. Ask me those questions. Like, what do I think about diapers? And am I excited about them being over? Or like, what was the hardest part about potty training? I think right now, to be honest, the hardest part about potty training, we are through it with our first child. However, as a boy, he's now learned how to stand up and try to pee, but his height at the toilet seat is about the same as his genitals. So we often pee straight on the rim. So my bathroom smells like pee a lot. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. Anyways, if you want to hear more of this and become a backer over on Patreon, $7 and up, and you get access to the Ask Me Anything series. I would love to have you join us. And also, just thank you so much to everybody that has been a backer on Patreon already and has helped to support this project. it can be really hard to be a creator and to grow a business and to make things in the world and to like get the engine moving, if you will. And we've built such an amazing community of people and of parents, both on Facebook and people who listen to the podcast and email me about it, and then people who are in our community mastermind, our year-long community mastermind. You all are incredible, and I love being able to do this work in support of you and to help you grow your businesses and to live lives that feel like they're back in the edge of sanity. That's the promise, right? Like, it may not be bliss, it may not be nirvana, but we don't want to go crazy while we're doing it, because what we're doing is hard, it is big, it is challenging, and we need support and we need community. So I am just so grateful for everyone that has been a backer, and I hope this new offering is something that is a no-brainer for more people to become supporters of this project. So if you want this podcast, if you want to be a part of this monthly podcast and you want to be able to ask questions and get feedback, whether it's a sticky business problem or a parenting puzzle or a pregnancy question, please go to startuppregnant.com/question and you can ask your questions, and go to patreon.com/startuppregnant. I'll put both of those links in the show notes. And when you become a backer, not only do you get access to this podcast, but you get my endless gratitude, and you get to know that you are supporting the work of women and entrepreneurs and female founders in the world. And you are helping to support not just yourself, not just me and my business, but you are supporting all of the women whose businesses benefit by having this podcast exist in the world. That's meaningful. It means a lot to me. It means a tremendous amount to the community that's growing here. And I'm so thankful to get to do this work. Thanks everyone for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. If you enjoyed listening to these episodes with women going behind the scenes and telling the truth about their lives, I have found it really rewarding and therapeutic even to hear different people's stories of what happens when things are unexpected and not quite what you had planned for. So if that is something you appreciate and want to hear more of, and maybe it helps you feel a little bit less alone in this journey of parenting and business, I have a couple of episodes you might appreciate if you haven't listened to them yet. Episode number 3 with Nicole Walters. She became a foster parent and an entrepreneur all in 1 year, and she had 3 children enter her life suddenly. Episode number 6 with Tamsin Webster is an unexpected story of divorce and when parenting totally knocked her sideways and wasn't anything like what she expected. And she ended up becoming not the primary parent or the default parent, but creating a new arrangement with her partner. Episode number 27 with Bridget Gleason. She talks about the way in which her life also totally shifted when she had kids, and she went to work part-time as a sales professional, but asked for a very particular set of circumstances. And she said, listen, I am the number 1 sales representative, and I want to be paid if I am still the number 1 sales representative, like I am working full-time, even if I'm not working full-time. Her negotiation strategy and her perseverance are remarkable. And then lastly, episode number 51 with Kathleen Shannon. She is one of the creators of Being Boss, and she has a story of postpartum depression and how tremendously challenging having her kid was, and why she ended up going on medication and becoming such a passionate advocate for daycare because of how much help she realized that all parents need when we undergo this journey. So if any of these episodes resonates for you, or you are experiencing something like this, go take a listen. The links are in the show notes. That's episode number 3, 6, 27, and 51. And you know, I always say this and I mean it. Leave us a review on iTunes if you like our show. It takes a few seconds and it really does help us a lot. If you want more of what we're talking about, go over to startuppregnant.com and get on our email list. We send out a weekly newsletter with time-saving tips for parents and entrepreneurs. And I always include a weekly gadget or tool or something awesome that we've stumbled upon to help make your life just a little bit easier. And as always, you can reach out to us at hello@startuppregnant.com. We love hearing from you.